Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 Morning News.
Oh, good morning this morning. Look at that kind of foggy, ominous shot there over Charleston. It is Sunday, November 6th. I'm Taylor Stewart. Let's get it right on over for your forecast. We had a gorgeous sunny day yesterday. I mean, seasonally warm. Meteorologist Justin Chambers with a look at today's forecast.
Yeah, we had 80 degrees, almost a record high yesterday, and we're going to see temperatures that will warm back up again later today. We have some cloud cover that's out there right now, even a few spotty showers that we're seeing out there as you get up early on the new time change day. It is now standard time, so hopefully you fell back last night and got those clocks all adjusted. This is how we're starting off. We can see a few of those showers kind of rolling through. As we get into the next couple of hours, those showers will start to taper off, and overall we will see a very warm day ahead. In fact, look at these temperatures right now, mid to upper 60s. These are your current temperatures as you step out early on this Sunday morning, which will be mild. Off and on showers through the day today and near record high temps, not only today, but also for tomorrow. As you're enjoying some coffee and breakfast with us here in the next couple of hours, check out those new sunrise times. Sun's already up, and it'll go to bed tonight at 5 p.m. Numbers sliding in the lower 70s over the next couple of hours. Back to you.
3 men are dead and several hurt. 5 shootings across the city yesterday. Fatal shootings along Garrison Boulevard and Biddle Street shown here in red. According to police, it's already a deadly month as the uptick in gun violence Baltimore saw in October just continues to rise.
It's early in Baltimore's ceasefire weekend, spreading the message of hope and love and the challenge for the city to find peace. At least for a few days. Nobody kill anybody. It does sometimes work. But for another sorrow-filled Saturday, Baltimore didn't rise to that challenge. More lives lost, more families grieving the 3 men who wouldn't survive this weekend. This the scene in the East Biddle neighborhood where bloodshed began just after 4 p.m. A 33-year-old man with apparent gunshot wounds taken to the hospital dies. Overnight, a double shooting takes the life of a man. A woman also shot is now stable.
When you see the same thing happening again and again and again.
For that, it's exasperation from faith leaders like Bishop Angel Nunez, who talked to Fox 45 News late last month about the pain he sees in communities watching seemingly unrelenting violence.
People want to leave. There are those that cannot leave. And so they feel this oppression. They feel this darkness. They feel hopeless.
It's the challenge to keep hope alive and the work for change in the face of a new month that began just 5 days into November with 7 murdered and 5 separate shootings on a single Saturday.
At a rally to mark the beginning of a ceasefire weekend, the organization Baltimore Ceasefire 365 announced a rebrand. Leaders are removing a gun from the current logo, saying it has a negative connotation. The new logo will be approved in the coming weeks. Baltimore Ceasefire is holding a brainstorming meeting today at 2 p.m. You can watch it there on their Facebook Live. Election day just 3 days away, and we saw massive early voter turnout in Maryland already. Nearly 400,000 people have voted early, including 88,000 on that final day. More than just 633,000 Marylanders requested mail-in ballots. Topping your Vote 2022 coverage, the Baltimore City Council is fast-tracking a bill that would allow council members to be eligible for pension after 8 years of service rather than 12. The bill is contingent on the passage of Question K, a ballot measure that would establish a 2-term limit for several city leaders, including council members. 5 council members voted in favor of sending the bill to the full council. 2 voted against it.
And it's only fair that, elected officials have a pension also. It was already set up for 3. It was set up for 3 terms, you get a pension. If they change it and community says 2, then it should be 2 terms then.
So let me be clear. I understand the need for city employees and elected officials to have a robust pension system that does not harm the city's overall finances However, this legislation felt rushed, and we want to make sure that we come up with the best system for the city of Baltimore.
Joining us now, political analyst John Deedy to wrap it all up ahead of Election Day. Let's first get into this local referendum on potentially Question K and its passage. When we just saw last week, council members vote in favor of possibly moving their pension reduction days to 8 years rather than 12. What does that say about what you believe this referendum on the ballot could mean for Baltimore and elected leaders, really?
I think this could push more people to vote for the referendum, because what they did was they voted for themselves a golden parachute. In other words, we may have to get out, so let's give ourselves something. Here's the thing. Public service is like teaching. It's a calling. It's something you want to do. It's something you want to give back to the community that you're not necessarily looking to get something better out of. And the fact that these leaders all of a sudden say, well, gosh, I may get forced out of office, so I want some consolation prizes, for my 8 years of service, it definitely is a wrong thing to do, and kind of knuckleheadish, to put it politely, as far as what they were thinking about, because it gives a bad connotation to this whole idea. So I think, if anything, this is going to push more voters to say, yeah, we got to term limit these guys.
And it really comes at a time where people are really considering these term limits. On Tuesday, they're going to the ballot box. On Monday, this will go before the full council. Is there anything city council members can do to maybe walk this back? I mean, we're already so knee deep in this issue. When you think about taxpayer dollars and where's the transparency? Is there anything they can do to kind of clear this up?
What they can probably do would be the smart thing, is to postpone a vote on this. That would be the best thing to do, kind of kick the can a little bit, because the thing is, if they pass this Monday, it's going to be all the media talk Monday night into Tuesday morning. It's what the headline's going to be. And people are going to see this, and they're going to say, wait a minute, I got fired with no notice. I got nothing. And now these people, they may lose their jobs, and all of a sudden they're going to get, the golden parachute. They're going to get a thank you for your service for 8 years, when some people have been fired from jobs longer without this. This is just really a dumb idea that whoever had it was obviously thinking about themselves first and not the taxpayer second.
Absolutely. We wanted to get to one more question here before we wrap it up. Gubernatorial campaign, what are we seeing this final push? We've got 2 more days. We know we've got some big names coming on the campaign trail.
I think what you're really going to see is to try to get more voters motivated to get out the vote, because it's not just necessarily the governor's elections and the other big ones. It's state senate and state delegate races. You want to have more control and more power in your legislative chambers. Also, for Republicans, you want to be able to hold the line a little bit. So for a lot of them, this last couple days is trying to bolster your get out the vote campaign, so you could basically maintain what you have, or for Democrats, increase what you have in the state of Maryland.
Political analyst John Deedy, thank you so much for weighing in. We'll continue to check in with you as we get towards Election Day.
You're welcome.
All right, be sure to check out the FOX45 voter guide for all of our reporting on the upcoming general election. Go ahead and point your phone's camera at the QR code to take you straight there, or head to foxbaltimore.com/vote2022. Nearly 20 people hurt in New York following a building fire. The cause and what officials say is next in the process.
And we're starting off with just a few showers here for your Sunday morning. As we head toward the afternoon, we'll talk about how much warmer we get and if that rain sticks around. Watching Fox 45 Morning News, all local, all morning.
Making headlines this morning, a second person arrested in connection to the shooting of Commanders running back Brian Robinson. Police say their suspect, just 14 years old at the time of the shooting. Investigators say Robinson was shot twice during an armed robbery in late August. He only missed 4 games before returning to the Commanders in October. At least 38 people are hurt following a major fire at a New York apartment building. Firefighters say the blaze may have started from a lithium battery connected to a bike or a scooter. Fire marshals say close to 200 Manhattan fires have been caused by lithium batteries this year alone.
So we've seen secondary fires, and this isn't really what we've seen traditionally, where fires are slow to develop. We're encountering a fully developed fire when the fire units are arriving here.
A few residents were trapped inside the building during the blaze, but everyone is now accounted for. A preliminary squeegee plan met with some mixed reaction. Baltimore's voices weighing in on a guaranteed income proposal and a squeegee code of conduct.
Schools are awful. We need to do more and better for the children. Right now, they're suffering.
Baltimore hits an all-time low in student performance. Coming up in our next half hour, how one community activist is calling for a city school CEO to be replaced. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News, all local, all morning.
Project Baltimore is sponsored by the Snyder Law Group. Call 410 the Firm.
Despite massive amounts of spending, new federal test scores show Baltimore has hit an all-time low since testing began 13 years ago. As Project Baltimore's Crip Papps explains, a leading civil rights activist is now calling for a school CEO, Dr. Sonia Santalis, to be replaced.
It's been a neglected neighborhood. You know, some things that people take for granted we don't have here.
Sandtown, West Baltimore.
We don't have a food market. We don't have a bank. We don't have a laundromat. We don't even have early voting here.
For 72 years, Doc Cheatham has called this neighborhood home. This road's named after you.
Yes, sir.
You're a pretty big deal around here.
Yeah.
He's the former president of the Baltimore chapter of the NAACP, a civil rights leader who's never lived anywhere else.
Nope.
Since 1950, Cheatham has watched Sandtown slowly turn from a thriving middle-class neighborhood into a poor and dangerous one. So far this year, as of November 1st, Baltimore's Western Police District has seen 31 homicides, 5 of them in Sandtown. In all of Baltimore County, there's been 24.
We're in an awful state. Conditions are awful here.
What about the schools?
Schools are awful. We need to do more and better for the children. Right now, they're suffering.
Cheatham believes much of the poverty and violence affecting his community can be tied back to education. The federal government, every couple years, releases the nation's report card, or NAEP. Students across the country are tested in 4th and 8th grade math and reading. When Baltimore City joined NAEP in 2009, our students scored 10 points below the large city average. By 2019, Baltimore fell to 18 points below the average. The 2022 results just released show more decline. Baltimore is now 21 points below the large city national average. With an average score of 218, Baltimore has hit an all-time low since beginning national testing 13 years ago.
Thank you for joining us for this very special moment today.
In July, Baltimore Mayor Brandon Scott held a surprise press conference to celebrate City Schools CEO Dr. Sonia Santelises, completing her 6th year on the job.
And on behalf of the city, I want to salute you.
That press conference was just 4 months ago, as Baltimore City students drastically dropped in performance compared to other large cities.
Can I ask you a couple questions about the school system quickly?
Sure, come on, man.
We recently caught up with Mayor Scott, hoping to ask him about the NAEP scores and if he still supports Dr. Santelises.
In 2022 was the lowest scores Baltimore City has ever recorded.
Yeah, I'll just stop you right there and just say that, across the country, you saw declines after the pandemic. We understand that. There is learning loss across the board. And anyone who thinks that anybody that thinks that it's just in Baltimore City should understand the deepness that this is a United States issue that we have to
But
deal
it does
with.
appear to be worse in Baltimore City.
Well, not in all
this
cases.
city is now the second lowest performing city in the country in
Chris,
math.
Not in all cases, Chris. I think what you like to do is paint a story. We know that you have an agenda that you're going to carry out, but I want you to report on all of the facts. Go back and look at the dives in some of the places. Look how in Baltimore compared to some of the other jurisdictions in Maryland that the declines weren't just as steep.
Overall, Maryland did see major setbacks in NAEP testing, but Baltimore City is the only jurisdiction that reports specific scores. We can't see how other districts performed.
Do you think Dr. Santelises needs to be replaced?
Yes, without a doubt. There are some of us who've been here a lifetime. I can't say I'm highly educated, but I know this city very well. It's insulting what they're doing to our children.
Cheatham has done what he can to help his hometown. After the death of Freddie Gray and the devastating riots that followed, he raised $250,000 to build this park in Sandtown.
Neighbors from the neighborhood, they come and pick the vegetables and I guess they eat them.
What was once a block of abandoned homes is now a place to eat, swing, play, and perform. It's a source of pride in the community, a place of peace among the murders on surrounding blocks.
That was my dream here, to build this park, and as you can see, it's 5 years old and it's doing good.
But this community needs more than just a few blocks of refuge. Cheatham says this neighborhood and others in Baltimore can no longer be neglected, and what's happening in the schools can no longer be accepted.
But we're not giving up, and I'm not giving up. I refuse to move from this neighborhood.
I'm Chris Pabst, and this is Project Baltimore.
Time right now is 7:20. That's right, 7:20 standard time, as we are no longer under daylight saving time. So hopefully you changed your clocks when you went to bed last night and going, all right, cool, it's the 7 o'clock hour now. And the sun is up too. It's been up for just a little while, those earlier sunrises. However, We also get earlier sunsets. And I know that makes a lot of people a little on edge because they know what's coming. We know that winter's around the corner, don't we? How about 68 degrees, though? You can have winter for a little bit longer. You can keep all of that over there because we're going to see those temperatures that are going to stay well above average. Here's a look at our HD radar. We did see some showers that rolled through overnight and still are moving through the area at this time. Just a couple of light showers is all we're seeing at this moment. As we pull back a little bit farther, you can see the HD radar right there. This is a cold front that is going to be moving in from the west. So ahead of the front, we're going to have today and tomorrow with well above average temperatures. Behind that front, that's when our temperatures will start to drop, especially as we get into Election Day Tuesday and Wednesday later this week. But look at these numbers right now, guys. Almost 60 degrees in Oakland, 66 in Cumberland, mid to upper 60s for Westminster and Bel Air, down to Chesapeake into Baltimore City at 68 right now. Eastern Shore, you're also waking up in the 60s here this morning. And you can see over the next 12 hours, those numbers are just going to go back up. In fact, even with some of those clouds around today, we still will see highs in the mid to upper 70s. The average for November 6th is 61 degrees, and the record high for today is 80 degrees. Now, we actually hit 80 yesterday, didn't break any records because the high was 83, but look at that. I mean, a lot of us will be in those mid to upper 70s through the afternoon across central Maryland. Not only here, too, up and down the 95 corridor, New York and Philly, down through Baltimore and D.C., we're going to see those upper 70s. Commanders in town this afternoon as they are taking on the Vikings. And, of course, the Ravens play tomorrow night in New Orleans, so we'll have a Purple Monday tomorrow. All right, here's a look at our future scan. We got the clouds that'll stay with us. Again, a few spotty showers later throughout the day today, but overall, not much more rain. Here comes that cold front, so we're still going to be warm ahead of that front for tomorrow, but behind that front, much colder as we get into Tuesday and Wednesday. And you can actually see some of these numbers here on your 7-day forecast. Upper 70s today and tomorrow. The record high for tomorrow is 77, so we should break that. Election day is not looking too bad there. You can see lower 60s on Tuesday and then only about 60 for your high Wednesday. So those numbers definitely are coming down before we warm back up heading toward Veterans Day weekend.
A new affordable housing community opens its doors in Baltimore. Who's eligible and why the mayor says it's been a long time coming. Trending now, Mayor Brandon Scott taking part in a new accessible housing initiative in Baltimore. Sojourner Place at Oliver held its grand opening yesterday. It's designed to be an affordable housing complex for folks transitioning out of homelessness. It's located on Preston Street in East Baltimore. Any Baltimorean who makes less than 50% of the area median income is eligible.
Sojourner Place at Oliver is about reversing what you heard Kevin talk about. Years of inequity, years of redlining, years of what we call purposeful disinvestment into poor and black neighborhoods. Instead, creating high-quality housing that will first and foremost benefit the physical, environmental, social, and financial health of low-income people and people experiencing homelessness in Baltimore.
The community includes a fitness center, a computer lab, and was built in partnership with Healthcare for the Homeless. Another day with above average temperatures here in Baltimore. Meteorologist Justin Chambers lets us know how this holds up moving into your work week. And coming up in the next half hour, at least 3 people are dead following a violent weekend on Saturday here in Baltimore. Growing crime concerns as the first week of November wraps up. You're watching Fox Baltimore Morning News, all local, all morning.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 Morning News.
Good Sunday morning to you. Look at that shot there over Baltimore. A little foggy and groggy out, but we're going to wake you up and start you on your week here. Thanks for being here this Sunday, November 6th. I'm Taylor Stewart. Let's get right over to your forecast. Meteorologist Justin Chambers in for us this morning. Good morning, Justin.
Yeah, good morning, Taylor. Overall, a nice afternoon yesterday. I mean, it was warm. We hit 80 degrees with that sun that was shining. Sun is now up now that we have the time change behind us, and we definitely have the cloud cover that's out there. Even a few light showers that are being picked up. You can kind of see that here on our HD radar. Just a couple of spotty showers is what we'll see for the next couple of hours, and then as we head into the afternoon, may see a stray shower, but we're going to warm up. I mean, look at these numbers. numbers right now. Low to mid 60s for Rosedale, Essex out through Middle River, 64 in Dundalk right now, 66 in Brooklyn Park, almost 70 as you wake up with us on this Sunday in Glen Burnie and Pasadena. So a mild Sunday morning, even warm for some of you. Off and on showers through the day and near record high temps, not only today, but into tomorrow as well. Here's a look at that yard and gardening cast. Mother Nature helping out with some of that rain as you get into the afternoon today. If you want to get some of the raking done, probably some wet leaves out there. And check out these numbers, upper 70s today and tomorrow. Big drop off on Tuesday, which is election day. Those numbers coming back down to where we typically are this time of year. Back to you.
Baltimore's Squeegee plan is back in focus after the mayor's office releases a preliminary plan regarding the Squeegee Collaborative. The proposal includes guaranteed income for Squeegee kids to stay off street. Code of conduct drafted by Squeegee kids. Another Squeegee kid arrested this afternoon, yesterday afternoon, though, for assault and possession of a loaded handgun. It happened around North Avenue near I-83. Maxine Stryker looks at what's been a turbulent week on street corners.
As Baltimore City continues to grapple with the Squeegee Kid crisis, there's news of another incident, the third in the past week. Baltimore police arresting a 19-year-old Squeegee kid Saturday afternoon along Mount Royal Terrace. A woman told police she was sprayed in the face with an unknown liquid after refusing service from the young man. Police were able to locate him and found he was carrying a loaded handgun. Last Saturday, a Baltimore County couple say they were robbed by a Squeegee kid at East Fayette and President Street. And on Tuesday at the intersection of MLK Boulevard, police say a driver reported 3 Squeegee kids snatched his phone and cash-apped a large sum of money to themselves. Police spotted the suspects, who ran and broke into a woman's basement on Portland Street.
I was scared. Very scared. Terrified.
This comes as some details were released Thursday about Mayor Brandon Scott's Squeegee Collaborative plan. We're told Squeegee kids will develop a code of conduct in an effort to regulate themselves, and they'll be assigned specific areas. And a guaranteed income program will be made available to young men who do not engage in the activity.
We're going to pay them to get off of the corner. But we got people out here working every day, and we get money funded to the city all the time, but this is what we're going to waste it on.
In Fells Point, business owner Beth Hawk says things seem to be at a tipping point.
People are so hesitant to come downtown.
She says the ideas coming from the collaborative don't seem fair or sustainable.
So they're going to give guaranteed income to lawlessness, but nothing to the victims. People's cars have been damaged, people have been physically assaulted, and one innocent man was murdered. It's not right.
And she has a lot of questions about how it will all work.
Are they getting a 1099 after a certain amount? What amount are they getting? How long are they being qualified for this? Where are the designated areas for the Squeegee? This is crazy.
At the Fells Point Fun Festival Saturday, business owner Sasha Tilleman also weighed in with a different perspective and optimism.
I think anything's worth a try. They're out there obviously looking for income, skipping school or whatever because they need the income for their families.
Mayor Brandon Scott is remaining tight-lipped, only saying the full details will be released in the coming days. In Baltimore, Maxine Stryker, Fox 45 News.
Baltimore police have issued a reward of up to $2,000 for help locating a Squeegee kid in a separate incident. Police say he was involved in a robbery on October 18th at the intersection of I-83 and East Fayette Street. Anyone with information on this incident is asked to contact Baltimore police. Fox 45 News tried to question Mayor Brandon Scott about the proposal at a public appearance yesterday. Mayor Scott says he has nothing to add at the moment before the official announcement that we're expecting next week. Skeptics on the plan's details are highlighting the guaranteed income portion, saying it sends the wrong message to Baltimore's children.
This doesn't seem like a serious solution, and if it works, God, I'll be the first one to admit that it was worth trying this, but we should be treating these kids like they're our own. And none of us as parents would ever turn around if we found our kid learning out that our kid was committing crimes and saying, you know what, we're going to pay you to not commit crimes.
This sends the completely wrong message to those kids that going to school, doing the right thing, obeying your parents, obeying the laws they don't pay. Hard work doesn't pay. Doing the right thing doesn't pay. Doing the wrong thing disobeying the law, committing crime, that pays. If crime pays in the city of Baltimore, we have a big problem.
Now, the office of the Baltimore City's mayor's office confirmed some of the details of the Squeegee Collaborative ahead of its official rollout. Former mayoral candidate and CEO of Urban Engagement Initiative, Shannon Wright, joining us now to talk about what's in it and if this could work out. Now, let's first talk about the Squeegee kids coming up with their own code of conduct. What is your take from how they're helping young folks get involved in this measure that will ultimately impact them?
So when you come at it from that premise, it's wrong from the beginning. Good leadership is like good parenting. Parents do not go to their kids and say, okay, so what rules do we want to have in the house today? Parents set the rules. Parents set the tone. Leadership sets the rules. Leadership sets the tone. We have children that are engaging in illegal behavior that we're now saying, okay, well, tell us how you want to do it, and we'll pay you to do it, and we'll make it so that it's all okay, even though it's still illegal. Wrong message, wrong tone.
And as far as payment goes, I mean, does that also send a similar message? We're talking about payments of up to $300+ to keep folks off of street corners, obviously to alleviate the concern in the first place is that the lack of opportunity. Does that accomplish, does paying them accomplish this? I mean, is that... No. And more importantly, I am greatly disturbed that our mayor, who is a son of Baltimore, who has had every job at City Hall except dog catcher, felt he needed to spend more city resources to convene a coalition to tell him what should have been obvious. There's not one problem in Baltimore City that isn't solved by doing one of three things: fixing the schools, helping parents parent, and electing leadership that will lead. Mayor Scott often says this problem of squeegee kids has been going on for a long time. Yes, because we've had broken schools for a long time, because we've had broken families for a long time, and we've had poor leadership with poor policies. Fix the schools, help the families, elect good leadership. You won't have a need to pay children, to incentivize children to do bad things. We should be looking at solutions that incentivize our children not to just stay off the street corners, but to actually excel in school, to actually excel in their future careers. But that's not the mindset we have in Baltimore. And because of that, we will never get out of the situation we are in, as long as that's the type of leadership and policy we are all subjected to. Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see how this all plays out. We're getting more of those details later this week from the mayor's office, and we'll have to see the reality of how this possible code of conduct, as well as those payments, play out here in real time. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
There are laws in place that could be used to keep squeegee kids out of intersections, but Mayor Brendan Scott said he will not enforce them. The mayor says squeegee kids are panhandling, which is protected speech. Tragedy in Charles County. Police provide an update on the 5 bodies found inside a La Pata home.
And right now we're starting off with some cloud cover, a few showers here and there, and warm temperatures. We'll take a look at just how warm we get coming up in just a few minutes. Stay with us.
We're learning more stunning details out of Charles County, where at least 5 people were found dead inside of a home in what police are calling a quadruple murder-suicide. The bodies were discovered in La Plata Friday afternoon. Police say a man killed his ex-girlfriend and 3 others before turning the gun on himself. Neighbors say police have been called to that home several times in the past as officers try to piece together what happened here.
All of them appear to be adults. Investigators are working through the scene, trying to positively identify the victims and establish a motive.
It's a very sad day for this town.
Now, 2 children were believed to be in the house at the time of the incident. Thankfully, they were both located safely. You can go ahead and download the Fox 45 News app for breaking news, up to the minute coverage, traffic conditions, school closings, all of that, and your weather anytime. Just search WBFF in your app store. Did you enjoy that extra hour of sleep last night? Coming up, how daylight savings time almost became a permanent part of all of our lives this year. And will Question K lead to a change in pay? The debate on pension requirements ahead of Election Day this week. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News, all local, all morning. Developing now, Baltimore City Council looks to fast-track a bill that could change pension requirements. David Williams with the Taxpayer Protection Alliance joining us now. David, can you speak to the timing of this? Let's really get into the details of what we saw happen here last week. First of all, give us your reaction to what the timing of this change could be.
Yeah, good morning. And this is really crazy, right? Is that we have this ballot initiative that could potentially bring term limits to city council members for 8 years. And then all of a sudden, the city council has a bill that gives them a pension after 8 years. Right now it's 12 years. So this is not surprising at all. And when city council wants to do things quickly, they can. And it shows you when it's in their own self-interest. And this is really self-serving, right? I mean, this has nothing to do with the administration of the city, making things more efficient or any of that. This is self-serving, is that they want to be able to get a pension if this initiative passes tomorrow, or actually Tuesday.
And so we really don't have an idea of what the cost of this could be, because the city's retirement office said they hadn't had enough time to really even look at what this could cost to the taxpayer. But from your experience and your background, what do you estimate the cost of this could be? I mean, such a bump in a reduction, rather, in the time necessary to serve.
Yeah, and that's the biggest question, the biggest red flag that I have is the cost, because right now with the 12-year pension, it's about $1.5 million a year, right? So we know that. And boy, you talk about the finance department and they say, slow things down. You know, the city council should listen to the finance department and slow things down, because this is going to be a ripple effect, because what you're going to see is you're going to see a lot of people running for city council because they know after 8 years they will get a pension, and you're going to see a lot more competition, a lot more people running because they want to get that quick pension. And we don't know the exact cost, and that's the problem is why not slow this down, is that if this thing passes on Tuesday, the term limits, you know, that goes into effect 2024. So why have this new pension system in effect immediately when you don't have to? Let's just pump the brakes a little bit and figure this out. But this cost, I think, is going to be astronomical for the city. And right now, the pensions are fully funded. There's not a lot of good news that comes out of Baltimore when it comes to finances, but the pensions are fully funded right now. But if you go from 12 to 8 years, that completely changes all of the calculations and all of that.
All right, we'll have to follow this issue as it develops here. Thank you so much, David. We'll keep you guys updated.
Thank you.
All right, today begins the lighter, earlier start in the morning, plus the darker, earlier nights. In March, the Senate voted to put an end to and make daylight saving time permanent. But lawmakers just can't reach an agreement on the measure, so it's just stalled in the House. So for now, we're still dealing with daylight saving. I'm still confused. So we got an extra hour, meteorologist Justin Chambers?
Absolutely, yeah. Okay. We fall back. We get the extra hour back to standard time now, no longer in daylight saving time. And that means that we've got those, as you mentioned, earlier sunrises and earlier sunsets. We're losing the daylight as we get closer to the winter solstice. So we are definitely getting into that time of year where we will see things a bit darker, especially you'll notice that this afternoon. Now, a lot of cloud cover around right now. In fact, you can see on our camera right here, our Toyota Inner Harbor Sky Cam, that we're getting some kind of mist and obviously some light precip here at this moment. Our HD radar showing you that we are seeing a couple of showers, the heavier showers for Severna Park and Annapolis right around the Bay Bridge, and really not being picked up here on the HD radar, but it's just kind of the misty conditions that we're seeing out there. That's going to continue off and on for the next few hours. So if you are heading out to church or brunch here in the next couple of hours, just maybe grab that umbrella, a light jacket, a very, very light jacket, because it is warm. Temperatures you see on the right side of your screen, a lot of us are in the mid to upper 60s right now. This is our next weather maker, a cold front moving in from the west. But for the next day or two, we're actually going to have those temperatures staying above average. Shout out to Barb in Aberdeen. She just emailed me this picture a little while ago. And yeah, when we get some of that sun popping through the clouds, we get a nice rainbow taken just a little while ago. So Barb, thank you very much for sending that picture in. Always enjoy getting your pictures, whether they're pet pics or weather pics. Here's a look at your current temperatures. These are the numbers I was talking about. I mean, mid to upper 60s for Cockeysville and Hunt Valley down through Baltimore City, 66 Chestertown, and 67 in Stevensville. So as you rise and shine and continue waking up with us next few hours, upper 60s and lower 70s, those are the new sunrise and sunset times. So the sunset tonight at 5 p.m. Tomorrow it goes to bed before 5 p.m. All right, here's a look at those high temps. 61 typically where we are this time of year. We hit 80 degrees yesterday, low to mid and upper 70s across Carroll and Baltimore counties for the afternoon. And up and down the 95 corridor, keeping those mid to upper 70s going. New York and Philly down through Baltimore and D.C. Warm temps across a large portion of the country, especially in the southeast, with lower 80s for Atlanta down through Dallas and New Orleans, and still quite a bit colder out west later today. All right, here's a look at that future scan. So again, we'll keep the clouds around off and on throughout the day today. May see a stray shower or two. That cold front's racing in tomorrow. Before that happens, we're still going to warm up. And then behind the cold front, much cooler temperatures right as we head toward Election Day, I should say. Here's a look at our holiday countdown. 5 days from today is Veterans Day. We're just 18 days out from Turkey Day. And look at that, Debbie the Dancing Christmas Tree. 49 days. 7 weeks from today is Christmas Day. The winter solstice is now on there at 45 days away. All right, here's that 7-day forecast for you. Upper 70s today and tomorrow, lower 60s on Tuesday and Wednesday as well. So there's that cool down before we warm back up toward Veterans Day on Friday.
As head coach, does it tick you off at all?
Alrighty, coming up on Sports Unlimited, Rocco DeSangro goes one-on-one with Brenda Fries as the Terps get ready to tip off their 2022 season.
2-1, Alvarez hits a high drive center field. Veerling's back. This game is turned upside down.
And you can hear those fans roar. The World Series 2022 title belongs to the Houston Astros. Game 6 ended with the Astros over the Phillies 4-1. Jeremy Penn named MVP. This is the second title in 6 years for the Astros, despite not being far removed from clenching, well, not that cheating scandal. Now to college football. It's a tough day to be a Terp. Wisconsin, with a 4-4 record, took the win over Maryland with a final score of 23-10. The good news, though, Maryland went into yesterday's game already eligible for the bowl, so that means they already have 6 wins. Fun fact, Wisconsin interim head coach Jim Leonhard played for the Ravens back in 2008. The Terps are on the road again next weekend, this time at State College, where they'll take on Penn State. All right, but a little closer to home, Morgan State University lost to Stony Brook by 2. Bowie State beat Lincoln 41-24. Nice result on a senior day at Bowie. And Big Hopkins, Johns Hopkins won at Dickinson big. And Stevenson, on their senior day, shut out Wilkes 28-0. Maryland's women's basketball coming off yet another Sweet 16. But the transfer portal has helped and hurt the Terps. Our Rocco DeSangro caught up with top Terps Brenda Fries ahead of tomorrow's season opener.
You know, just grateful, obviously, to have a phenomenal staff. It's kind of top down when you talk about your staff and that leadership, and then being able to attract the right players that fit your team, your culture, and your program.
I like to call this the unofficial tip-off or kickoff to the season media day. How does it feel to be here and just to be able to do this and talk about your program with everyone?
Yeah, we love this time of year. This is, that opportunity to really showcase and talk about your team. Obviously, for us, there's so many new faces this year for people to be able to learn. But it also, when the weather starts getting a little cooler, that basketball season's just around the corner.
This team will be battle-tested by season's end. You have 12 ranked opponents, or ranked games, I want to say, on the schedule, because you play some of these teams twice. As far as that goes, how does this help your team come tournament time, playing this level of opponent?
Yeah, it really will prepare us for postseason. Probably the toughest schedule we'll have ever faced in my 20 years here at Maryland. So, it's just understanding it's a marathon, not a sprint. Just, the non-conference will prepare us for conference play, and conference play will prepare us for postseason.
In talking to some of your players, I kind of touched on that you guys were picked to finish 4th in the Big Ten preseason rankings. It ticked them off a little bit. As a competitor, as a head coach, does it tick you off at all?
Of course. You always want to be selected as number one. But to me, that ranking doesn't really matter as long as you prove it at the end. And so we always know it's a preseason poll. I get it. Some rosters have, a lot more returning players coming back. We have one returning starter. So, for us, it's just building that chemistry to put ourselves in position to be at that number one position at the end.
That returning starter, it's Diamond. So, of course, with her healthy, Cheyenne in the backcourt as well, what is this backcourt capable of, and this team with those two kind of running the show?
Yeah, just really athletic, 2 scoring guards. I love the fact that Shy wants to set the tone with her defense and her motor and her energy. But, just the fact that they're really versatile, they can help us in a lot of positions.
Does it feel real that the season is this close, and what are you most excited for this year in the 2022-23 campaign?
Yeah, it's happened quickly, before you wake up and it's already October or a couple weeks away from games. But, yeah, we're most looking forward. There's so many new pieces for our staff, just putting them all in the best positions to be successful.
The Terps will be at George Mason tomorrow for their first game of the season. Temperatures in the mid to upper 60s right now across the region. Coming up, meteorologist Justin Chambers will let us know when we could feel those fall-like temperatures once again.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 Morning News.
All right, we've got a little bit of drizzle on this shot we've got over Towson here. It's a little foggy, but we are going to start off on a great note this morning. Thanks for being here this Sunday, November 6th. I'm Taylor Stewart. Let's check right on in with your forecast. Are we going to need to bundle up this morning, or are we seeing those warm temperatures like yesterday?
Yeah, take off the jackets. You won't need them. I mean, it is actually warm outside right now in the 8 o'clock hour on November 6th. And you can see the leaves here also in our Towson shot. We are getting a few light showers, but I mean, we're almost at 70 degrees right now, and we're going to get even warmer as we head later into the afternoon for today. Hit 80 degrees on Saturday. Going to be pretty close to that number again. We still have to get through a few of these showers right now. You can see them on your HD radar, so they will stay with us at least for the next couple of hours. Just grab the umbrella and a very light jacket, because you can see our temperatures are in the mid to upper 60s statewide. In fact, 69 in Baltimore City, 66 Westminster and Bel Air. You're waking up at 65. So you can see on your yard and gardening cast, next couple of hours, those numbers will be climbing to the upper 70s, well above average for this time of year. A big cool down coming later into the middle of our work week. We'll take a look at that coming up in just a few. Taylor?
3 men dead and several hurt after at least 5 shootings across the city yesterday. Fatal shootings along Garrison Boulevard and Biddle Street shown here in red, as police say it's already been a deadly month as the uptick in violence Baltimore saw in October continues.
It's early in Baltimore's ceasefire weekend, spreading the message of hope and love and the challenge for the city to find peace, at least for a few days. Nobody kill anybody. It does sometimes work. But for another sorrow-filled Saturday, Baltimore didn't rise to that challenge. More lives lost, more families grieving the 3 men who wouldn't survive this weekend. This the scene in the East Biddle neighborhood where bloodshed began just after 4 p.m. A 33-year-old man with apparent gunshot wounds taken to the hospital dies. Overnight, a double shooting takes the life of a man. A woman also shot is now stable.
When you see the same thing happening again and again and again.
For that, it's exasperation from faith leaders like Bishop Angel Nunez, who talked to Fox 45 News late last month about the pain he sees in communities watching seemingly unrelenting violence.
People want to leave. There are those that cannot leave. And so they feel this oppression, they feel this darkness, they feel hopeless.
It's the challenge to keep hope alive and the work for change in the face of a new month that began just 5 days into November with 7 murdered and 5 separate shootings on a single Saturday.
At a rally to mark the beginning of ceasefire weekend, the organization Baltimore Ceasefire 365 announced a rebrand. Leaders are removing a gun from that logo. The current logo has a negative connotations, folks say. A new logo will be approved coming up in the weeks to come. And Ceasefire is going to hold a brainstorming meeting today at 2 o'clock on their Facebook Live for input. Election Day is just 3 days away, and we saw massive early voter turnout in Maryland already. Nearly 400,000 people voted early, including 88,000 on that final day of early voting. More than 6,300,000 voters already requested mail-in ballots ahead of Election Day. Topping your Vote 2022 coverage, the Baltimore City Council is fast-tracking a bill that would allow council members to be eligible for pension after 8 years of service rather than the 12 that's currently on the books. Now, that bill is contingent on the passage of Question K, a ballot measure that would establish a 2-term limit for several city leaders, including council members. 5 council members voted in favor of sending the bill to the full council. 2 voted against that.
Then it's only fair that, elected officials have a pension also. It was already set up for 3. It was set up for 3 terms, you get a pension. If they change it and community says 2, then it should be 2 terms then.
So let me be clear. I understand the need for city employees and elected officials to have a robust pension system that does not harm the city's overall finances. However, this legislation felt rushed. And we want to make sure that we come up with the best system for the city of Baltimore.
We want to talk on what this pension plan could do for Baltimore residents. Let's get Baltimore Attorney Carville Collins live with us. Good morning. Let's jump right into this. What are your thoughts on the council moving forward with emergency legislation to reduce pension from 8 years to 12 if Question K is passed?
Good morning, and thanks, Taylor, for having me on. Taylor, this legislation should not be enacted by the City Council. It is premature, it's frankly unethical, and there is a cost to taxpayers not yet quantified. It's a little early, and this bill has just been introduced back on October 24th, so it's on the schedule for this coming Monday night. The council seems to be poised to pass a bill in a 2-week period. Yes, indeed, that sounds quite rushed, and without the benefit of a full fiscal analysis for the impact on the city and for the taxpayers of the city.
And speaking of the benefit that it would have, what benefit, if any, would it have for city residents?
The benefit of a bill like this, well, you know, it's been mentioned that, of course, there needs to be a retirement benefit for city officials and city employees. You know, that's always been the case. But in this case, what we have really is not much benefit at all. The cost issue, I think, is the first thing that must be considered here. You have, so far, the council already has the benefit of a response, a preliminary response, from the Baltimore City retirement system through its executive director, David Randall. This body has provided the president and council with a preliminary fiscal analysis just last week on this legislation. Let me just share with your viewers what that retirement aid system has said. Quote, "The bill and market conditions have the potential to reduce the funding status to below 100%, at which time there will be a cost to the city. Going forward, the actuarial liability will continue to increase due to an earlier 8-year vesting period," end of quote. Now, how much cost will there be to the Baltimore City taxpayer? Well, we don't know, and neither does the Baltimore City retirement system, which in their November 1st memo to the council has asked for more time to provide a full and comprehensive cost analysis so that they can provide recommendations for the true impact as well as cost-effective alternatives to the proposed bill.
Attorney Collins, thank you for that. Thank you for always digging around and making sure we have all the facts on that. Appreciate your insight.
Thank you, Taylor.
Nearly 40 people hurt in New York following a building fire. The cause from officials and what's next in their cleanup process.
We're starting off with some showers here on your Sunday morning, but temperatures that are mild, even warm already. We'll take a look at what's going to be taking place for us later this afternoon. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News, all local, all morning.
Making headlines this morning, a second person arrested in connection to the shooting of Commanders running back Brian Robinson. Police say the suspect here, only 14 years old at the time of the shooting. Investigators say Robinson was shot twice during an armed robbery in late August. He only missed 4 games before returning to the Commanders in October. At least 38 people are hurt following a major fire at a New York apartment building. Firefighters say the blaze may have started from a lithium battery connected to a bike or a scooter. They say close to 200 Manhattan fires have been caused by lithium batteries this year alone.
So we've seen secondary fires, and this isn't really what we've seen traditionally, where fires are slow to develop. We're encountering a fully developed fire when the fire units are arriving here.
A few residents were trapped inside the building during the blaze, but everyone is now accounted for. A preliminary squeegee plan met with mixed reactions. Baltimore's Voice is weighing in on a guaranteed income proposal and the next squeegee code of conduct.
The last major economic report before the midterms is out. I'm Atrell Nashar with what it says and a recession warning from across the pond.
The U.S. gained more than 260,000 jobs, according to the October jobs report. It's welcome news on Wall Street as all 3 major indexes jumped on Friday after a relatively successful week. But the unemployment rate rose to 3.7% as the Federal Reserve tries to avoid a potential recession. National correspondent Arthur Allen Shar brings us all up to speed.
The red-hot labor market taking a step toward cooling down, unemployment rising slightly in October. Labor Secretary Marty Walsh tells us it's the beginning of a steady slowdown, not a crash landing or recession.
We still have openings in America that we need to fill.
2 open jobs for every unemployed person. That labor shortage is a major driver of inflation as employers compete for talent with higher wages, a cost often passed on to consumers. The October jobs report shows the labor participation rate hasn't changed.
I do think that, we need to do our work too. And when I say our work, I'm talking government as a whole. Investing in job training and workforce development and apprenticeship and pre-apprenticeship.
Another official making it clear this week there's more work to be done is Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell, forecasting more interest rate hikes in their fight against the highest inflation in 4 decades.
it may take time. It may take resolve. It may take patience. It's likely to get inflation down.
Across the pond, the Bank of England also rolling out aggressive interest rate hikes up against their own labor shortage and inflation even higher than in the U.S. They've been forecasting a UK recession since August. Now their central bank says one could last into the first half of 2024, which would be their longest recession in the past century.
If we don't take action to bring inflation down, it gets worse.
Recession fears lingering here in the U.S., but the Bank of England says the U.S. is in a better position, more shielded from the fallout of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The White House appearing to brush off concerns days before the midterms as polls show the economy is the top concern for voters.
I want to be clear, there are no meetings or anything happening like that in preparing for a recession.
A new CNN poll finds 75% of likely voters think the U.S. is already in one. Souring sentiment they're expected to take to the polls on Tuesday. In Washington, I'm Atrel Nashar reporting.
Just one day after firing 7,500 employees, Twitter is launching a new subscription service in an effort to make the platform profitable. The service will cost $8 a month, and it will include that blue check mark previously given only to verified users. The original system was launched to prevent impersonations of high-profile accounts belonging to celebrities, politicians, and journalists. Experts, though, have raised concerns about how Twitter users will be able to authenticate users and the information they're receiving. I don't know. I want to get a verified forecast from meteorologist Justin Chambers. How do you feel about that?
I'll absolutely give that to you. And clearly, we're both here today, so that means no one won the Powerball last night. But we've got another drawing coming up on Monday. Tomorrow night, it's going to be the biggest ever in the world. $1.9 billion for that Powerball jackpot tomorrow night. And that means that the take-home number is almost $1 billion. So even if you don't do the annuity over 30 years, you can actually take home almost $1 billion. I just can't understand that. So what'd you say?
How many tickets do you have?
Oh, I haven't checked my tickets. I don't know how many if we won or not. We didn't win. Obviously, we didn't win the Powerball, but I'll have to look when I get home.
Okay.
Yeah,
let me know if you become a billionaire.
I don't know if I'm going to let anybody know that. All right, Toyota Inner Harbor Skycam. We are seeing some of the mist on the camera right now, a couple of those raindrops. 69 is your current temperature at BWI. No wind really to speak of. We definitely had kind of that breezy to windy conditions for yesterday, and that's what helped to get the temperatures up to 80 degrees. And right now, we're still in the upper 60s here. Mid-60s for you in Bel Air over to Cockeysville, 65 in Owens Mills, 66 in Woodlawn and in Brooklyn Park. And numbers here that are going to stay well above average for the afternoon. This is our HD radar right here, seeing a little bit more of the heavier rain over Chestertown, down through Severna Park, right around Laurel and Bowie. You're seeing some of those showers, but overall the larger system kind of moving through. So that is our next weather maker, which is this cold front from the west. Once this thing passes through us, by the time we get into Tuesday and Wednesday, much cooler temperatures are going to be on the way. So enjoy these 70s for the morning time on your Rise and Shinecast. Obviously, with the time change, the sun came up at 6:40, and you can see that sunset tonight at 5 p.m. All right, here's a look at those high temps. 61 is typically where we are. Most of us in the low to mid and upper 70s across Carroll and Baltimore counties. Those numbers are staying warm up and down the East Coast for New York and Philly, down through Baltimore and D.C. Maybe a bit of the raindrops at the Commanders game this afternoon over there in Landover at FedEx Field, but there should have no problems with the game. And again, November games, typically you're bundling up, right? But you don't need to do that for today. Ravens on the road tomorrow night. Here's a look at our future scan. A lot more of that cloud cover will be with us for today. Tomorrow, that cold front starts to move through. We're warm out ahead of the front and then much cooler back behind that. Here's an updated look at your holiday countdown. 5 days coming up on Friday, Veterans Day. We're just 18 days from Thanksgiving, 43 days until Hanukkah. And look at that, the winter solstice. There's Sammy the Snowman right there doing his jig. 45 days from right now. That's when we get to winter, when it will be cooler. All right, upper 70s today and tomorrow. Tomorrow's record high is 77, so we're looking to pass that. Back to the lower 60s for Election Day and on Wednesday as well. But then those numbers will start to rise once again as we head toward Veterans Day on Friday.
A new affordable housing community opening its doors in Baltimore. Who's eligible and why Mayor Scott says it's a long time coming. And a look at a first-of-a-kind art collective coming to Baltimore. How organizers are making sure creatives get the recognition they deserve. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News, all local, all morning. All right, trending now. Everybody needs a reason to dress up, right? Creatively Mindful Art Collective is helping highlight 20 creative artists, their clothing designs, and 100% of that commission goes straight to them. Photojournalist Lane Blank and Casey Fair take us through yesterday's event.
I came home, I was in like first grade, and I drew a picture of SpongeBob. I showed my mother, and she swore I traced it.
It's crazy. I feel like art was like always a God-given ability, so we started this art collective.
We've been doing this for now 6 years. It means everything, and it means everything for a plethora of reasons. One, because I get to do it alongside my brothers.
We're like the three-headed goat, I like to call it. You know, everybody comes with something.
I want to support whatever you feel good about.
When I was coming up, I mean, I'm still coming up, you know, I'm a budding artist, but when I first started doing galleries and exhibits, it just didn't sit right with me that they would take 40%, 50% of profits that I made from my artwork, because I put the blood, sweat, and tears into it.
I honestly wouldn't be here painting and, you know, doing murals, anything, honestly, probably if it wasn't for Jordan, because I saw that it was possible.
From the outside looking in, I wanted to provide an opportunity to do that for others, but not take 50% of their profits when they sell their work.
Oh yeah, I love it. This is like, I always have the most fun with them during shows like this.
The smiles you get to see on the guests' faces when they walk through that door.
And it's just a true sight to see when it all comes together.
You know, art can be shown in many ways, and it has a meaning, depending how you look at it.
Characters that speak to us, the weird stuff, the beautiful stuff, the stuff that hurts.
And a black man in America, being from Baltimore, people can relate to my artwork. When I ask people, what do you think when you see my artwork, and I get so many different answers, but the enthusiasm behind it, can't ask for much more.
Mayor Brandon Scott is taking part in a new accessible housing initiative here in Baltimore. Sojourner Place at Oliver held its grand opening yesterday. It's designed to be an affordable housing complex for people transitioning out of homelessness. It's located on Preston Street in East Baltimore. Any Baltimorean who makes less than 50% of the area median income is eligible.
Sojourner Place at Oliver is about reversing what you heard Kevin talk about. Years of inequity, years of redlining, years of what we call purposeful disinvestment into poor and black neighborhoods. Instead, creating high-quality housing that will first and foremost benefit the physical, environmental, social, and financial health of low-income people and people experiencing homelessness in Baltimore.
The community includes a fitness center and a computer lab. It was built in partnership with the Health Care for the Homelessness. All right, let's get over to our Steals and Deals with Genevieve Gorder.
The following segment is sponsored by Knocking.
Hey, everybody. Today I've got something to fix a pet peeve we all struggle with. An uncharged phone, or maybe it's your laptop or your tablet. It all feels annoying and can be unsafe, and it bugs all of us. This is the Magnetic Static 360 charging cable. Now, it is a hyper fast charger and the only cable you're ever going to need. And here's why it's special. Static chargers can charge your phone up to 8 times faster. They're magnetic and they rotate 360 degrees. So if it's yanked accidentally by your kid, your dog, or you, no worries. There's no damage. Your phone's not going to fall on the floor. You get 3 universal connectors. Insert the one you need and snap it on the cord, which is great. Plus, Static makes these amazing snap and charge portable chargers with the same magnetic tips for charging on the go. There's so many different chargers. This one is extra. I travel a lot. I bring in laptop, a speaker, headphones, my phone. It's a lot of different types of chargers. And with the Magnetic Static 360, I only need 1 cord because none of us like cords. Let's just be honest about it. Today, we are offering up to 50% off packs of 2 or 3 cables with different lengths, as well as the snap and charge charger. Take advantage of this deal before we run out. Go to asadeals.com.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 Morning News.
Oh, good morning here. You can see those droplets over this live look of the harbor this morning. A little gray out there, but we're going to start you on your week this Sunday, October 6th. Thanks for joining us here. I'm Taylor Stewart, but let's get right on over to your forecast, because that's what I want to talk about. Those temperatures yesterday, Justin, I mean, out of this world, very warm.
And you know, you said October 6th. It's November 6th, but it feels like October 6th, right?
I mean,
it feels like early October for sure, with these temperatures that continue to be well above average. Not November. Now, look, a couple of days away, we're going to see those temperatures that will drop and will definitely feel more like November. But this is our Towson camera right now, also with a little bit of mist there on the camera at this time. And those roads are just a bit wet, so if you're heading out to church or brunch in the next couple of hours, just be aware of that. Grab the umbrella, just have it with you. Really not a need for a jacket at all, with temperatures that are mild and even warm right now. Look at these numbers: 65 Owings Mills, 66 in Woodlawn, almost 70 in Baltimore City, mid-60s for Essex and Middle River, up into Bel Air at 66 this hour. So lower 70s for the next few hours. So if you're out for a run or a jog here to get you going, maybe getting excited for Fells Fest later this afternoon, temperatures are going to be warm. And we're going to top out close to 80 degrees again today. The record for tomorrow is 77, so we look to break that record on Monday. Election Day Tuesday will be cooler as numbers fall back close to average for this time of year. Back to you.
Baltimore's Squeegee plan back in focus after the mayor's office releases a preliminary plan from the Squeegee Collaborative. That proposal includes guaranteed income for Squeegee kids to stay off of street corners and a code of conduct drafted by Squeegee kids. Another Squeegee kid arrested yesterday afternoon for assault and possession of a loaded gun along North Avenue near I-83. Maxine Stryker looks into what's been a turbulent week on street corners.
As Baltimore City continues to grapple with the Squeegee Kid crisis, there's news of another incident, the third in the past week. Baltimore police arresting a 19-year-old Squeegee kid Saturday afternoon along Mount Royal Terrace. A woman told police she was sprayed in the face with an unknown liquid after refusing service from the young man. Police were able to locate him and found he was carrying a loaded handgun. Last Saturday, a Baltimore County couple say they were robbed by a Squeegee kid at East Fayette and President Street. And on Tuesday at the intersection of MLK Boulevard, police say a driver reported 3 Squeegee kids snatched his phone and cash-apped a large sum of money to themselves. Police spotted the suspects, who ran and broke into a woman's basement on Portland Street.
I was scared. Very scared. I mean, terrified.
This comes as some details were released Thursday about Mayor Brandon Scott's Squeegee Collaborative plan. We're told Squeegee kids will develop a code of conduct in an effort to regulate themselves, and they'll be assigned specific areas. And a guaranteed income program will be made available to young men who do not engage in the activity.
We're going to pay them to get off of the corner. But we got people out here working every day, and we get money funded to the city all the time, but this is what we're going to waste it on.
In Fells Point, business owner Beth Hawk says things seem to be at a tipping point.
I mean, people are so hesitant to come downtown.
She says the ideas coming from the collaborative don't seem fair or sustainable.
So they're going to give guaranteed income to lawlessness, but nothing to the victims. I mean, people's cars have been damaged, people have been physically assaulted, and one innocent man was murdered. It's not right.
And she has a lot of questions about how it will all work.
Are they getting a 1099 after a certain amount? What amount are they getting? How long are they being qualified for this? I mean, where are the designated areas for the Squeegee? I mean, this is crazy.
At the Fells Point Fun Festival Saturday, business owner Sasha Tilleman also weighed in with a different perspective and optimism.
I think anything's worth a try. They're out there obviously looking for income, skipping school or whatever because they need the income for their families.
Mayor Brandon Scott is remaining tight-lipped, only saying the full details will be released in the coming days. In Baltimore, Maxine Stryker, Fox 45 News.
Baltimore police have issued a reward of up to $2,000 for help locating a Squeegee kid in a separate incident. Police say he was involved in a robbery on October 18th at the intersection of I-83 and East Fayette Street. Anyone with information on this incident is asked to contact Baltimore police. Fox 45 News tried to question Mayor Brandon Scott about these proposals at a public appearance yesterday. Mayor Scott has said he had nothing to add before the official announcement we're expecting next week. Skeptics of the plan are highlighting the guaranteed income portion, though, saying it sends the wrong message to Baltimore's children.
This doesn't seem like a serious solution, and if it works, God, I'll be the first one to admit that it was worth trying this. But we should be treating these kids like they're our own. And none of us as parents would ever turn around if we found our kid learning out that our kid was committing crimes and saying, you know what, we're going to pay you to not commit crimes.
This sends the completely wrong message to those kids that going to school, doing the right thing, obeying your parents, obeying the laws they don't pay. Hard work doesn't pay. Doing the right thing doesn't pay. Doing the wrong thing, disobeying the law, committing crime, that pays. If crime pays in the city of Baltimore, we have a big problem.
All right. Obviously, people are upset at the sentiment that paying Squeegee kids could entice them to not commit crimes. But we want to bring in Tyrone Powers. He's a former FBI agent, and you'll join us now. I really want to get into the sentiment of this is we're paying people to not commit crimes. But could there be a deeper value in this proposal?
Yeah, good morning, Taylor, and thank you for having me on. Without seeing the complete details of the proposal, there is some benefit. I mean, we've always had individuals who have been involved in some kind of hustling. Back in the days, I'm dating myself now, it was shoe shine boys. And as long as they had a code of ethics, if people said no, they left them alone, so on and so forth. So the fact that people are squeegeeing is not unique. It's the behavior, the criminal behavior associated with that, which is the policing issue. The philosophy of paying squeegee workers, and let's be clear, not every person out there squeegeeing is involved in criminal activity. So the police has to focus on the criminal activity and not squeegeeing in and of itself. The paying them, as long as it's linked, and we haven't seen the complete plan, to something else, to training. No one thinks that young people can grow up to be professional squeegee people. There's no job and career in squeegeeing long term, so we're not trying to make them into that, or we shouldn't be. If it's connected to, for example, skills or studying or training. I went to the FBI Academy. I was paid while I was in the academy for training. I wasn't out enforcing the law. I was training. So if we are linking it to something like that, for example, we have this multi-billion-dollar, trillion-dollar infrastructure bill, which Maryland is getting a large part of it. If somehow they were getting paid and you were linking that to skills like welding, like infrastructure, things that they could use long-term, maybe if some of them weren't academically inclined to go off to college, the trade skills associated with that, if we linking the pay with some training and then that training with a career that's way beyond squeegeeing, then it makes logical sense. So I think we have to see the complete plan before we immediately, in this city, we have a tendency to put anything down that we don't come up with before we immediately condemn the plan, to see the whole scope of the plan, because that money may be linked to something else. It may be linked to training. It may be linked to the infrastructure bill, which we know, and that infrastructure bill is an excellent opportunity for the state, the governor, this mayor, the state's attorney to come together collaboratively and say we're going to address squeegeeing, but we also are going to address the economic the viability of young people long term.
Mm-hmm. And some people have said that possibly paying them now and the long-term ramifications of that could present an issue. But like you said, we'd have to see how this plan plays out, and we'll see that very, very soon here.
It has to be linked. If the money is linked to training, if it's linked to the infrastructure bill, it's linked to giving them skills, because they have to have skills, let's face it. To chase young people off of these different locations, to think that just by chasing them away, they will go do something positive, doesn't make any logical sense for anyone. If you are associating that money with making them better citizens by providing these skills with this money coming in for infrastructure, then it makes logical sense. It's how the money will be used. You're not just paying them not to squeegee, but are you paying them and helping them develop other skills? That has to be connected. If that's not connected, then it's problematic. But let's wait and see the complete plan.
All right. The intent and the execution behind it, we'll have to wait and see. Thank you, Tyrone Powers, for joining us and for your insight. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Taylor. Have a great day.
You too. All right, there are laws in place, though, that could be used to keep squeegee kids off of intersections. Mayor Brandon Scott has said he will not enforce them. He says squeegee kids are panhandling, which is part of protected speech.
We are seeing a few light showers here this morning, but as we head into the afternoon, we'll see temperatures that will be well above average. We'll take another look at that coming up for you in just a few minutes from right now.
We're learning about a disturbing story out of Charles County where at least 5 people were found dead inside of a home in what police are calling a quadruple murder-suicide. The bodies were discovered in La Plata Friday afternoon. Police say a man killed his ex-girlfriend and 3 others before turning the gun on himself. Neighbors say police have been called to that home several times in the past as officers try to piece together the facts.
All of them appear to be adults. Investigators are working through the scene, trying to positively identify the victims and establish a motive.
It's a very sad day for this town.
Now, 2 children were believed to be in the house around the time of the incident. Thankfully, they were both located safely. You can always download the Fox 45 News app for your breaking news, up-to-the-minute traffic conditions, school closings, weather, anytime. Just search WBFF in your app store. How did that extra hour of sleep feel last night? Coming up, how daylight saving time almost became a permanent part of our lives this year. And many ranked teams are recovering this morning after hard losses. A quick breakdown of the top college football upsets coming up. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News, all local, all morning.
2-1, Alvarez hits a high drive center field. Vierling's back. This game is turned upside down.
Look at those fans in the World Series 2022. The title now belongs to the Houston Astros. Game 6 ended with the Astros over the Phillies 4-1. Jeremy Pena named MVP. This is the second title in 6 years for the Astros, despite not being far removed from that cheating scandal. Now to college football, where we saw lots of upsets yesterday. Number 4, University of Georgia took the win over number 1, University of Tennessee in Athens. That final score, 27-13. And then number 10, Louisiana State University snagged that victory over number 6, University of Alabama. The game going into overtime to end 32-31 LSU. University of Notre Dame, not ranked this season and had a 5-3 record before defeating number 4, Clemson. The final score there, 35-14. And another upset here closer to home. It's a tough day to be a Terp. Wisconsin, with a 4-4 record, took the win over Maryland with that final score of 23-10. The good news, though, Maryland went into yesterday's game ready to be bowl eligible, meaning they already have 6 wins. Fun fact was Wisconsin interim head coach Jim Leonhard played for the Ravens. That was back in 2008. The Terps are on the road again next weekend, this time at State College, where they'll take on Penn State. A little closer to home, though, Morgan State University took a loss to Stony Brook by 2. Bowie State beating Lincoln 41-24 with a nice result for Bowie, though, on their senior day. Johns Hopkins winning big at Dickinson, and Stevenson on their senior day shut out Wilkes 28-0. Maryland's women's basketball is coming off yet another Sweet 16, but the transfer portal has helped and hurt the Terps. Our Rocco DeSangro caught up with the top Terp, Brenda Freese, ahead of tomorrow's season opener.
You know, just grateful, obviously, to have a phenomenal staff. It's kind of top down when you talk about your staff and that leadership, and then being able to attract the right players that fit your team, your culture, and your program.
I like to call this the unofficial tip-off or kickoff to the season media day. How does it feel to be here and just to be able to do this and talk about your program with everyone?
Yeah, we love this time of year. This is, that opportunity to really showcase and talk about your team. Obviously, for us, there's so many new faces this year for people to be able to learn. But it also, when the weather starts getting a little cooler, that basketball season's just around the corner.
This team will be battle-tested by season's end. You have 12 ranked opponents, or ranked games, I want to say, on the schedule, because you play some of these teams twice. As far as that goes, how does this help your team come tournament time, playing this level of opponent?
Yeah, it really will prepare us for postseason. Probably the toughest schedule we'll have ever faced in my 20 years here at Maryland. So, it's just understanding it's a marathon, not a sprint. Just, the non-conference will prepare us for conference play, and conference play will prepare us for postseason.
In talking to some of your players, I kind of touched on that you guys were picked to finish 4th in the Big Ten preseason rankings. It ticked them off a little bit. As a competitor, as a head coach, does it tick you off at all?
Of course. You always want to be selected as number 1. But to me, that ranking doesn't really matter as long as you prove it at the end. And so we always know it's a preseason poll. I get it. Some rosters have, a lot more returning players coming back. We have 1 returning starter. So, for us, it's just building that chemistry to put ourselves in position to be at that number 1 position at the end.
That returning starter, it's Diamond. So, of course, with her healthy, Cheyenne in the backcourt as well, what is this backcourt capable of, and this team with those two kind of running the show?
Yeah, just really athletic, 2 scoring guards. I love the fact that Shy wants to set the tone with her defense and her motor and her energy. But, just the fact that they're really versatile, they can help us in a lot of positions.
Does it feel real that the season is this close, and what are you most excited for this year in the 2022-23 campaign?
Yeah, it's happened quickly, before you wake up and it's already October or a couple weeks away from games. But, yeah, we're most looking forward. There's so many new pieces for our staff, just putting them all in the best positions to be successful.
The Terps will be at George Mason tomorrow for their first game of the season. It's at 7 o'clock. And don't get confused on your times here, because today begins the lighter, earlier start in the morning with The darker, earlier start at night. In March, the Senate voted to put an end to daylight saving and make it permanent, but lawmakers just couldn't reach an agreement on the measure, so it stalled in the House. So let's get over to meteorologist Justin Chambers. So today would typically be like 7:50, or did we explain this to me?
No, we fall back. So it's 8:50 now. It was 9:50. Now it's 8:50.
We got the extra hour.
Yeah, we get an extra hour of sleep in the fall, and we lose that hour of sleep in the springtime. That's what we do there. So, yeah, now back to standard time is what we're in at this moment. And we are looking at something non-standard, the temperatures that are well above average. You have a lot of the foggy conditions and the cloud cover and some mist out there from our Towson camera right now. But temperatures are almost 70 degrees, 69 officially, but it definitely feels warm and muggy as you make your way out. So your weather story looks like this: a mild Sunday morning, off and on showers through the day today. We will see those potential record high temperatures not only today, but also for tomorrow. We hit 80 degrees yesterday afternoon. I'll tell you, when we get some nice the nice rain showers rolling through, we did have some pockets of sun earlier, made for some very nice conditions. In fact, we even saw a rainbow. I saw a couple of pictures that were online that were looking good. This is a cold front that is coming in. Ahead of the cold front, we are going to stay warm today and tomorrow. Barb sent me this picture in Aberdeen Snap this morning, so thank you very much for that, Barb. I do appreciate it. Yesterday was a great day to enjoy some chili at the Chili Cook-Off, the 8th annual for the Baltimore station. That's myself and my fellow judges. We got to eat chili and we got to judge it, and we got to enjoy it as well at Camden Yards with temperatures again close to 80 degrees. Mount Hebron High actually won in Howard County. They had the best chili. It was number 4. All of us except one guy was like, yeah, 4 is the best chili. So shout out to also the Knights of Columbus, 76-12, and they gave us those pit beef sandwiches. Those were real good. So upper 60s here for this hour at Fells. Fells Fest continues for today. Maybe an umbrella if you're going to be heading out there. Should see a little bit of those skies brightening up, but temperatures warm, mid 70s through lunchtime. And if you're getting some of that great food there at Fells, we're talking about mid to upper 70s later this afternoon. 61 is our average this time of year. Nowhere near that number. Mid to upper 70s across the board here. And check out our temperature tracker. This looks like an actual roller coaster. Sunday and Monday, we are going to see those temps well above average, but falling off pretty significantly into Tuesday and Wednesday. We go back up on Thursday and Friday, and then back down into next weekend for Veterans Day weekend. Here's that 7-day forecast for you. Upper 70s today and tomorrow, lower 60s for Election Day if you're getting out to vote on Tuesday, but it will be dry, and then we'll keep those temperatures. That will be a bit cooler before, as I mentioned, we wrap back up and warm back up later this week.
With temperatures in the mid to upper 60s across the region, meteorologist Justin Chambers letting us know when it could actually feel like fall again. All right, one more thing before we go. It is National Nachos Day. The snack's origin supposedly dates back to 1943 and is credited to an employee in Mexico named Ignacio Nacho Ayana. One night after the kitchen staff left, he served his creation to a group of U.S. Army wives who stopped by. The dish was such a hit, the customers named it Nacho Special.
Yeah, and word got out fast, too. The rest is absolutely history because we all love nachos, and a great way to celebrate today because we have the NFL right here on Fox. The Commanders at 1 o'clock. They're in town or down the road in Landover this afternoon.
Or, I mean, you can probably find some great nachos at Fells Fest. I went yesterday. Food's awesome.
Nacho Mamas.
Nacho.
Have you had them there?
I have not.
Excuse me?
I'm new here. Give me some slack.
You got to try the hubcap margarita, too, at Nacho Mamas. Yeah.
These are the things we need to know. These are the things
It's a margarita and a hubcap, and everybody knows that in Fells. Now you know. You can hang out there at Fells Fest. I think we may even step down there later this afternoon. It is going to be warm, so upper 70s. I was going to wear pants yesterday at Camden Yards. I was like, no way. I wore shorts, and I'm wearing shorts today, too. 78 today. Now, also tomorrow, the record high is 77. More than likely, we will break that number. It does cool down for Election Day on Tuesday and Wednesday next week here, so definitely seeing those numbers that will be well below, near average, but a lot closer to where we typically are for this time of year.
I'm kind of worried about that Tuesday, 40 degrees. I'm looking ahead there. But
cold mornings, yep.
Good weekend ahead.
Yep.
Good weekend ahead. Have a great weekend. Thanks for joining us here on Fox 45 Morning News.